The Fox and the Crane. Once upon a time, there lived a fox and a crane. They were fast friends. One day the fox invited the crane to dinner. The crane gladly accepted the invitation. He went to the residence of the fox. The fox had prepared a liquid dish. It was served in a flat dish. The guest with its long beak could hardly pick up anything. But the host lapped it up in no time. Poor Crane went away hungry and disappointed. He cursed the fox for his selfishness and cunningness. He made up his mind to teach the fox a good lesson. After some time, the crane invited the fox to dine at his residence. The fox accepted his invitation and went to the residence of the crane. The crane placed before his guest a tall jar with a narrow neck. The crane with its long beak finished the contents of the jar, but the fox could not eat anything as his mouth could not go into the narrow neck of the jar. The fox went much ashamed and hungry. The crane paid him back in the same old coin. Moral: tit for tat. The hen that laid golden eggs. In olden days there was a farmer. He owned a wonderful hen that laid a golden egg every day. He was extremely happy, but after some time only one egg could not satisfy his greed. It was a slow process to get only one egg after every 24 hours, so he said to himself, 1 egg a day. It will take long to be rich. He grew so impatient that he wanted to get all the egg at once. He made up his mind to put the hen to death and become rich in an overnight. He killed the hen at once and cut open its belly. He began to look for the eggs, but there was none to be found. He saw that his hen was just like other hens. By his stupid act he lost even the egg he used to get every day. Thus the foolish fellow lost the hen that laid a golden egg daily. Moral: as you sow, so shall you reap. Contentment is a great wealth. The Fox and the Crow. Once a fox was feeling very hungry. He roamed here and there in search of food, but could not find anything to eat. To take rest it sat under a tree. When the fox looked up, he saw, to his great joy, a crow sitting on one of the branches of the tree. He was holding a piece of meat in his beak. On seeing this, his mouth began to water and started thinking about the piece of meat. At last he hit upon a plan to get the piece of meat from the crow. He got up and said to Crow, "Good morning. I am glad to meet you. How handsome you look. What a nice beak you have. But if you could sing so sweet as you are beautiful, you could win for yourself the title of the Queen of the Birds." The foolish crow was taken in by the oily talk of the fox. He felt happy. He at once opened his beak to sing. As he gave out a loud caw in his cracked voice, the piece of meat fell down on the ground. The fox picked it up and ate it up at once. The poor crow had to repent on his foolishness. Moral: do not give way to flattery. The dove and the bee. A bee once unfortunately fell into a river with a flow. It was being swept away by the strong waves of water. A dove was sitting on a branch of a tree at that time. Its eyes fell upon the bee and saw that it was in sorry plight. Taking pity on the bee, it at once plucked a broad leaf and threw it near the bee. The bee climbed on the leaf, dried its wings, and flew away. It was full of gratitude for the good-natured and generous dove. After a few days the bee noticed a cruel hunter taking a careful aim with his gun at its benefactor. The dove's life was in danger. Realizing this grave situation, it flew directly to the hunter's hand, settled lightly on it, and stung him as he was just to shoot. The hunter missed the aim. He cried with pain. In the meantime the dove flew away. The bee had made a good return for the help of the dove. Moral: do unto others as you wish to be done by. The camel and the jackal. A camel and a jackal lived together in a jungle. On the other side of the river flowing beside that jungle, there were fields having ripe sugar canes. One day the jackal came to the camel with a plan to cross the river and enjoy the sugar canes. As he did not know how to swim, so he requested the camel to carry him on his back. The camel agreed to the jackal's request. They set out for the river and soon reached its bank. The camel carried the jackal on his back and crossed the river. On reaching the other side, they began to eat the sugar canes. The jackal was soon satisfied, but the camel was yet hungry. The jackal began to howl loudly. The camel asked him not to do so, but the jackal said that it was his habit to howl after meals. His howling attracted the attention of the farmers. They all reached the spot with long sticks. The jackal disappeared in a bush, but the camel was badly beaten. Now they were to go across the river. The jackal requested the camel to take him across the river. The camel agreed to do so since he wanted to retaliate upon him. When the camel reached the middle of water, he began to roll in the water. The jackal told him not to do so. But the camel said that it was his habit to do so after meals. As a result, the jackal slipped off the camel's back and fell into the deep water. He was soon drowned. He was rightly punished for his mischievousness. Moral: as you sow, so shall you reap. Mercury and the woodcutter. Once there was a woodcutter. He lived near a forest. He earned his living by cutting wood from the jungle and selling it in the market. One day he was cutting down a tree on the bank of the river. While he was cutting it, his axe fell into the river and was lost. He tried his best to search it, but in vain. He was very poor and was not in a position to purchase another. So he began to weep and cry at the loss of it. Mercury, the god of the river, heard his cry and appeared before him. He asked him why he was weeping. The woodcutter told him that he had only one axe with which he used to cut wood and earn his living. As the axe had fallen into the river, so was he weeping. The god at once jumped into the water and came out with a golden axe. The woodcutter refused to take it. Then again he dived into the water. This time he brought out a silver axe. Again, the woodcutter said that it was not his. His axe was an ordinary one made of iron. Mercury dived into the water the third time and appeared with an iron axe. "That is my axe," shouted the woodcutter out of joy. The god was very pleased with him for his honesty and gave him all the 3 axes. The woodcutter was overjoyed and went home thanking the god. Moral: honesty is the best policy.